The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new era on No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the co-hosts. And to my right is a man who, I guess you would say it's new year, but it's not a new him, Dustin Henry. Dustin,
Yeah.
how are we doing today?
New Year's, same old me. My sister sent me a picture of with a caption of Danny DeVito under it. It was like January 1st, new year, new me. January 3rd, same me. And it was Danny DeVito on the ground eating Doritos and a beer can was next to him. I was like, accurate. That's me.
I'm not sure if it's the can of, if it's beer or it's wine. It's the wine in the can.
Oh yeah, it might be canned wine. Mr. DeVito seems a little more refined than maybe a beer drinker. I'll tell you though, I'm a fan of Jersey Mike's. I bought into the DeVito commercials. I've had their subs. I like them. But
it's interesting that we talk about that because that's one of our hot food takes for today.
You know, it's almost like I've done the show a little bit before. But you are right, sir. It is the beginning of a new era. Welcome to anybody new that is tuning into us for the first time. And hopefully that you get to know us and our shenanigans over this very long run that we're excited to begin here.
Absolutely. For those of you not familiar, we are live for the first time on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. We're also live on their Facebook page. We aren't live on Twitter because, well, not details I don't need to discuss. But basically, we're moving our live operations to our OG show live to the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel and Belly Up, and for now the Facebook page because there's some cleaning up that needs to be done. But we're excited. We were presented with that opportunity to do so, and we're excited about it. We're pretty excited about it. So anybody who's tuning into Belly Up Sports on either Facebook or on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. We hope you support us. But in the meantime, we just want to ask you to, if you don't mind doing so, on the social media side, if you're new, subscribe. Follow us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, and scarcely use TikTok @NoCredsREQ, and on youtube.com/@NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe to our podcast. Find it wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora. And please don't forget to get notified. Get yourself notified on Twitter and on YouTube, both on Belly Up and No Credentials Required, because from here on out, we'll be posting clips from the OG show on our No Credentials Required YouTube channel. We're doing the live stream exclusively here, but we'll also be making announcements on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Could be more diligent this year to do our best to be more active on the socials. Not because we want to necessarily, but we really have to because we really want this podcast. We really want this show, this podcast to succeed. But in the meantime, also, if you wouldn't mind doing so on the podcast side, rate, review, comment on the YouTube channel, comment on Spotify. You can do that now. It's an option. Ratings are also very helpful. Reviews on podcast platforms where you can review and comment. And dang it, I forgot to upload this one.
Oh man.
But it's we usually have something called Chime Time where we remind our viewers to leave a comment during the show. We have one rolling in, but it's just a comment on Facebook just saying during the broadcast, you can support the creator by sending stars, a digital gift that helps me earn money. Well, it helps our Belly Up Sports earn money, but that's okay. That's why we're here. But before we get into everything, we're going to start something new on No Credentials Required in the Saturday edition of No Credentials Required, because actually, no, it's going to be for every show going forward in 2025. We're going to do something kind of new.
Ooh, every show I gotta be on my sticks, because we talked about this, but I almost forgot about it, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta pick somebody, and I got a great pick in mind, Ryan. But I got to give you credit. This was a fantastic idea. But why don't you tell everybody what it is?
Okay, so basically, this idea came to me just kind of out of the blue. So I was thinking to myself, last year, our last show was episode 87. And I thought to myself, okay, so who are some of the best athletes, or who are some of our favorite athletes to wear the number 87? And, you know, some people will say Sidney Crosby. Some people will say Travis Kelce. Some will say Dwight Clark. I know at least one person will say Dwight Clark. May he rest in power. So I thought to myself, you know what? 2025, for every podcast episode we do, with the exception of the special episodes, because there'll be one special episode coming up pretty soon. It'll be replayed on the radio locally too. But I'll tell you more about that later. But my idea was to have to give us your favorite athlete to ever wear the number X. So this is the first episode of the new year of 2025, and we want to know who your favorite athlete was, or currently is, to wear the number 1. And I'm going to have my esteemed co-host lead off here, and he'll tell you who his favorite athlete to ever wear the number 1 was.
All right, I don't think you're going to be surprised by this pick. As usual, it comes with caveats. Okay, anyone that's been a fan of the show for a while knows this. I put caveats on things, and I will do it especially with some of the food takes that we maybe get into later in the show. But it came down to two people for me, and I decided to self-impose a rule. It has to be somebody that I've actually watched play and have seen play. It can't be like, okay, I saw a bunch of documentaries about it. I like the way this person carried themselves, blah, 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 blah. Unless I will put a little modifier, unless the answer is so glaringly obvious that I'm like, okay, well, it has to be this person, even though I didn't see them play. They are the one, they are the one. They are the clear favorite. But it came down to old Billy Martin for me, former manager and player for the New York Yankees. But that's when I decided to implement the rule. I didn't see Billy play at all, obviously, and I barely saw him manage. So if even, because he was hired and fired so many times, I may not have even seen him manage at all. And if I did, I was very small. So with that in mind, my pick for my favorite athlete and one of the greatest to ever wear the number 1 is Mr. Warren Moon. Surprising no one. I am a Seahawks fan, but how can you not? Warren Moon's body of work. Say nothing of his contribution in the CFL. He's got numbers. He's got numbers upon numbers upon numbers. And people, not you, Ryan, because you cover the CFL. You did so in depth on one of your other shows. If you don't know, Ryan is one of the busiest men in the business. But on Total Football Talk Extra, you were covering CFL with our friend D. Willie. But Warren Moon's CFL career is outstanding. Yeah. If you don't know anything about it, go look it up. And then what did he do? He came into the NFL and he played very well for the Houston Oilers. He played for the Kansas City Chiefs, the Minnesota Vikings, and also my beloved Seattle Seahawks. And he was still playing well at quite an advanced age, which this was long before TB12 and things. You didn't see somebody succeed at a quote-unquote older age at the quarterback to the degree that Warren Moon did. His longevity was amazing, and people forget because they didn't perform well in the postseason. People forget how good those Oiler teams were with that offense, that quick offense. They were very good teams. Yeah, run and shoot. Yeah, that offense was potent, so much so that when I was a very young tyke, I had an Oilers shirt. I had one of those like jerseys, I think you call them now, and it was the Houston Oilers, the powder blues. I love the colors mostly. I didn't understand what I was picking when I was a kid, but I love the colors, and I still have some fond memories of seeing Warren Moon slinging around every once in a while. So he is my pick. He kind of jumped off the page to me. I was like, you know what? He's the man. What about you, Ryan?
So this is going to be, I gotta say, I had to think about this too, because I had some honorable mentions in my mind. Penny Hardaway, Tracy McGrady being two of them.
Oh man,
Warren Moon.
T-Mac underrated, and Penny Hardaway. If he didn't get injured, and if Shaq didn't leave, what if?
Man.
What if?
Of course. I'll say Billy Martin. Yeah, Billy Martin, I can say. But I never saw him play. I never saw him play. Who else in football? Warren Moon, obviously, one of those is number one. Is the most notable number one in my mind. But for me, I'm talk about the goaltender that got me into the sport of hockey. And that would be Mr. Sean Burke of the New Jersey Devils.
Oh wow, okay,
all right. Berkey. So
did he finish out his career with the Kings? I think he played for a while.
He played with the Devils, the Whalers, and I want to say the Kings, but you know what? Real-time research, of course.
It's one of our show trademarks, real-time research.
Yes. So you'll get familiar with this theme if you're watching on the Billy Ups YouTube and Facebook channels for now. So he played for New Jersey, Hartford, Carolina, Vancouver, Philadelphia, Florida, the Phoenix Coyotes at the time, and he finished his career in Philadelphia, back to Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and he finished his career in 2007. 2007. He started his career in 1987. With the New Jersey Devils, and finished his career at 40 years old with the Los Angeles Kings in 2007. So yes, you are correct, sir. But and he wore number one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. With the Flyers, he wore number 33 and number 41, and with the Florida Panthers, he wore number 31, which is very odd, but hey, whatever. But I'll tell you why Sean Burke is number one for me. I'll tell you why. So when I started getting into hockey, I didn't start getting into hockey until I was about 10 or 11 years old. Like I kind of knew of it when I was a kid, when it was my cousins used to watch Wayne Gretzky. My cousins used to come over and watch Wayne Gretzky on the USA Network. Like they used to show. This is how old I am. Hockey used to be shown on the USA Network. All right, back in the day. So whenever Wayne Gretzky would be on, and he would be on ad nauseum back in the 80s, my cousins would come over to watch the game, like with us. Like I'm like, not because because they didn't have, I think pretty much because they didn't have cable, but that time. But cable was a luxury for back in the day. Now it's just standard. But they used to watch Wayne Gretzky, and I got so mad one day watching it because they were playing the Winnipeg Jets, and because I was a New York Jets fan, I associated with the Winnipeg Jets with the New York Jets, and the Oilers were just taking these guys to the woodshed, and I was getting so mad. But my cousins love Wayne Gretzky because, like, look at him.
Yeah,
back in those days, the flowing hair, good-looking dude.
Oh yeah,
but. It was 1988. The 1988 Stanley Cup playoffs was the time that I actually got into hockey. And that team that got me into hockey was the New Jersey Devils, because I was originally from New Jersey. We had just moved to New York a few years earlier. And it was so cool for me to see a New Jersey professional team, a team representing the state of New Jersey, which was cool to me back in that time. I mean, I consider myself a lifetime New Yorker now because I've been here for 40 years next month. I'll be in New York State. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. But watching Sean Burke, watching that New Jersey Devils team, watching Sean Burke make all those saves and do all those things with his leading the Devils to an upset win over the Islanders in the first round of that playoff. Sorry, Stainless Smooth. I see you in the comments. Upsetting the New York Islanders in the first round of the then Patrick Division semifinal, then beating Washington, the Washington Capitals, in the second round of the final of the Patrick Division, then moving on to the the Prince of Wales final against the Boston Bruins. Took them to 7 games. Unfortunately, lost in Game 7. But that team and that goalie, Sean Burke, got me into hockey, and he'll always be my favorite number one. And then he got traded to Hartford in, was it 19? Oh, darn it! I just lost the page. Got traded to Hartford but after the 1991 season. Got traded to Hartford because the New Jersey Devils drafted a little-known goaltender in the first round of the 1992 draft. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Martin Brodeur, who went on to win 3 Stanley Cups with the Devils. So
the name sounds familiar to me, but I think it's because his son plays for one of our local teams, the Adirondack Thunder. I think that's where I know. I think that's where I know the name from.
Yeah, it's very, very familiar. It might be familiar. But yeah, drop in the comments. Who is your favorite athlete to ever wear the number 1? We got some comments rolling in the comment section before we move to hot food takes. Daniel Smooth always joining us, saying, "Greeting, lads. Welcome to a new day." Yes, welcome to a new era at No Credentials Required. Listen to this. I have a question for you, lads. A debate question, CFL related. If Doug Flutie played in the last 20 years, would he be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I think I would.
Yeah, I think you have to give him the nod. I think you have to give him the nod. He's one of the ones people you can't discount, even though it's a different brand of football. CFL is football, and also Flutie was a tremendous college athlete. Everyone remembers. Everybody remembers that BC game. You know.
Yeah, I remember. I watched that game. I remember watching it when I was like 6 years old. Yeah. Won the and that basically secured the Heisman for him in that season.
Yeah.
So yeah. And he's also, I think some would say, arguably so, that Doug Flutie was the innovator of the run pass option offense. Because he was using that offense in Toronto with the Toronto Argonauts way before anybody else was in the NFL. His coach, I believe it was Don Matthews, his coach was at the time. It was like basically like, you know this offense, you know this league, you run this offense like you see it. If you need to run the ball. If you need to pass it. And that's how he was so good with the Toronto Argonauts. That's where they were so unbeatable back in those days, back in the early mid to late 90s, before he jumped ship back to the NFL to play with the Buffalo Bills. If it wasn't for Wade Phillips.
Oh yeah,
Wade Phillips' blunder.
Rob Johnson
putting in Rob Johnson in lieu of Doug Flutie in that 1999 wild card, we would not be talking about the Miracle City, the Music City Miracle. We would not. We wouldn't.
Yeah. That's that. I mean, we've and sorry, Wade Phillips, but you take shots every once in a while. And Wade Phillips is the poster boy. Ryan and I firmly believe that there are NFL coordinators that are wonderful as coordinators, NFL coaches, certain ones. You elevate them to the head coaching position and they flounder. And Wade Phillips is he's one of the perfect poster boys for that. He'll turn your defense around, but you ask him to coach the team, there's going to be problems.
Yeah, exactly. Better coordinator than he was head coach. I mean, you can ask the Buffalo Bills, you can ask the Denver Broncos, you can ask those fans. They'll tell you the same thing. Stan Smooth also goes on to say, Thomas Grice won the Islanders' first playoff series in 23 years. He wore number 1. It's true. He did. Kevin Wilson, the aforementioned Kevin Wilson from Seahawks, from such podcasts as Seahawks Sessions, produced by Daniel Smooth, saying, "Happy Saturday, fellas. Happy Saturday to you, Kevin. And thanks for chiming in last night when I was watching. I posted on Facebook that I was watching. I finally got to watch Nobody with Bob Odenkirk for the first time last night. if you're looking for just a quick shoot 'em up flick that takes 90 minutes, less than 90 minutes. I mean, that's not counting the credits. It has humor, lots of shooting action, and it's just a fun movie to watch. If you just need a fun movie, go watch Nobody. It's great. It's a great movie.
All right, I'll
recommend it.
check that out. I'll check that out. And hello, Kevin, and also Mr. Smooth. As I've said, I said to Staniel, I said I'm going to be calling you Mr. Smooth for the duration of Seahawks sessions. That's just it rolls off the tongue for me. But it was great to chop it up with both of you guys last night. It really enjoyed having Kevin on. And if you're interested, we jump into a decidedly large portion of the show was about cars. I don't know how that happened, but we got after it. We got after it.
My all-time favorite, 67 Mustang.
Oh man, that's a
Cobra.
good pick. Kevin would be happy with that.
Shelby.
Oh
Cobra.
yeah, well the Shelby Cobra. I mean, come on, Nicolas Cage. Eleanor is a thing, man. That's my dream car. That's my dream car.
I've seen Ford versus Ferrari. That was an awesome movie.
Yeah. That movie, so good, so good.
Spencer joining us saying "Yeehaw" and "Yaw yeet." Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate you joining us. We'll be I know you're a Vikings fan. We'll be talking some Week 18.
Yeah.
What some are calling the greatest regular season game of all time. Enough already. Stanley Smooth continuing says, yes, 1988, the worst year in the history of Edmonton Oilers hockey. They won the Stanley Cup, buddy.
Sometimes Mr. Smooth has to fly solo on some of his takes. You know, sometimes we can't co-sign him, but we love him.
I mean, I don't know if he's trying to make a joke. I don't have the Old Spice whistle, but anyway.
Yeah.
The pink hand of Sapna has showed up in the chat. Sports ball. All right. Thanks for stopping by, Sapna. Kevin Wilson saying, how about Ozzie Smith? Yes, absolutely. Ozzie Smith. Stanley Smooth saying, good old son of a bum. Sick Diggy joining us from Norway. Guten Morgen to you, sir. What in the Dick Dastardly and Muttley?
Welcome, Sick. Welcome. You got us with that one.
For those of you listening on the podcast, it's not me wheezing. That's me doing my impression of Muttley. And then Samuel Smooth clarifying himself. So Wayne Gretzky trade was in 1988. Yes, August 9th, 1988. I was sitting at the dining room table watching the news with my parents, which I usually did on weeknights back in the day. And yes, I remember when that news broke. It was one of the most. It was a big shift in hockey at that time. Because it was so huge for the American audience. Because at that time,
LA on the map.
It put LA on the map, but also it put hockey on the map as a sport to watch on television.
Yeah.
So you had because it's star power. Because we didn't have that. I mean, Gretzky was up in Canada. You don't get to watch him that often in the United States. So they figured, all right, you know what, Peter Pocklington couldn't afford to keep him.
Yeah,
I watched that document. That's actually that was the first 30 for 30.
Yeah, that it was a dark day in hockey. Now I will admit I am an Oilers fan, but I was not watching regularly back in 1988. I was 5 years old, so I wasn't. It didn't have the impact for me. I remember being broken up. I'm dating myself here, but I remember being broken up about the Ryan Smith trade. I thought that Ryan Smith would be an Oiler forever, number 94. The man had his basement painted Oiler colors, okay? But Peter Pocklington, man, the people of Edmonton, Pocklington is still like basically a slur there. You know?
Yeah.
It's
and that the team that Ryan Smith was traded to, the New York Islanders.
Yeah.
Then he signed with Colorado. Then he became a free agent, signed Colorado, played 2 seasons there, played with the LA Kings.
Yeah.
Missed out on the cup winning team in 2012 because he went back to Edmonton to conclude his career.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get it.
When we
I gotta
when we get
understand.
to spoiler, when we get to episode 94, whenever that is, he's gonna be my guy. Okay,
We'll try and make sure we get to an episode 94 this year. We got 87 last. We got 87 in the can last year.
Yeah,
We'll definitely try and make some. We'll try to make 94 this year for sure. For sure. All right, we got to move on to our next category in our breakdown, which is a Saturday staple. No pun intended. Hot food takes. There's that burger bouncing.
I still say, I mean, the graphic is great, but I have long maintained that burger is not the most appetizing looking burger. I've seen better burgers, you know.
Stock footage from Canva.
Yeah, we do what we can.
We do what we can. I can't rip off a Burger King commercial or a Gordon Ramsay burger commercial.
We would have to be very careful. We'd be like, it's not flame broiled, it's fire sizzled. You know, just something, you know.
It's true. It's true. We gotta watch ourselves now. All right. Hot food takes. Deli sandwiches. We're talking deli sandwiches of all kinds, shapes and sizes. I thought this out of the blue. I was just like, because I was thinking about getting something for lunch. And I texted Dustin. I said, "You know what? Will we do deli sandwiches for our next hot food takes?"
Yeah, it's a good one.
Now, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about what deli to go to. I'm not talking about what fast food chain to go to. Like Dustin mentioned Jersey Mike's at the top of the show. Danny DeVito, he got hooked in. I've
never heard you sound more disgusted with me than that right there.
He got hooked in.
Yeah, you're like he bought it.
Do I have to get my intervention banner? Do I have to get it? This is an intervention. Oh, I Met Your Mother. Last 2 seasons sucked. But deli sandwiches. Like I said, caveat to this: we're not talking about specific franchises. We're not talking about specific stores to go to. Although I have my go-to store in here in Boston Spa, right down the road from me. But I'm talking about like the sandwiches you would get at a delicatessen. Yeah. So I guess I'll lead off. I'll have my co-host. No, I was gonna have you lead off, but I'll lead off. I guess.
Oh, all right.
Because I had you lead off with your favorite athlete to wear number 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm leading off. I'll lead off here. So I'm very picky when it comes to sandwiches. I don't like a whole lot of condiments because I feel it takes away from the taste of the original ingredients. Like I know people will say, "Oh, just why you just makes it more moist." You gotta layer on the condiments. You gotta put the oil and the vinegar and the mayonnaise and the mustard and this and that. And it's like, no, you don't have to do all that. If it's a light dusting of it or slather of it, I guess it's okay. But no, I don't like it to be I don't want it to overwhelm my sandwich. So I typically leave it a little dry. Though once in a while I'll splurge for some roasted red peppers. Put stuff on that. Put that in your sandwich and go from it there. But I like me a good turkey bacon. Nice turkey bacon sandwich, a little bit of lettuce, roasted reds, hot sauce, a little bit of hot sauce. maybe every once in a while a little barbecue sauce. Like I said, barbecue sauce is my favorite condiment. To be honest, I know ketchup is a bad word in delicatessens unless you pair it with fries or whatever. That for a cold sandwich, turkey bacon. Hot sandwich, chicken parmesan.
Oh yeah, that's a go.
Cannot go wrong with a good chicken parm grinder. And my guy, Russell's Deli, down the road from me, makes the best chicken parm. Makes the best chicken parm sandwich, I believe, in the Capital District area. Although Fat, I think it's called Fat Tony's in Saratoga, makes a really good one too. But they tend to make it with bougie ingredients like the ball mozzarella.
Yeah,
that's a good sandwich too.
Yeah,
but for my money, Russell's Deli, he makes the best. He makes the best chicken parm sandwiches. Russell, if you're watching out there, I get a free sandwich next time I go there.
Oh man!
But That's my take on hot food takes with deli sandwiches. What about you, Dustin? What about your
All right.
preferred deli sandwich?
Well, because I'm an idiot, I only took this in terms
You went to
of
Jersey Mike's. I mean, come on.
yeah. No, I only took this in terms of cold subs. I did not think of hot subs, but hot subs, chicken parm is tough to beat. Chicken parm is tough to beat. I put a meatball sub on there. I like that as well. Meatball. There used to be this place that has since closed, but it was near me and it was in Hannaford Plaza, and they had a sandwich called the Hot Italian Lover. That name always made me laugh. That was sausage and meatballs, and they
Ooh.
basically parmed it up, and it was nice sandwich here. But
Solid.
I went into the I'm giving myself my top three. All right, top three, and as usual, I took it with only cold sandwiches because I didn't think of the hot sandwiches. So apologies to Chicken Parm and all the great hot subs out there. Philly cheesesteak, I'm sorry. Chicago chopped beef, whatever. I didn't even think, but traditional, my picks are going to be somewhat traditional. A lot of places you can get a lot of this stuff. I'm going to start at number three. Number three for me is like a classic, like you could almost call it like a club sandwich, anything with like turkey and ham. I like turkey and ham as the
Yeah.
combo. And
Okay.
then I do like some condiments. Mayo or mustard, both are acceptable to me. Although Kevin in the comments, he said, whatever sandwich you choose, leave the mustard off of it. So his response to Will Ferrell as Harry Carey, would you eat yourself if I was a hot dog, put some mustard on it? Kevin would not. Okay. Kevin
If I'm
has
a
made
hot
that.
dog, put some mustard on me.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to say, like, I guess you could places have different names for this, but the closest thing I can think of it is like a club sandwich. That comes in at number three for me. Some combination of turkey, ham, sometimes roast beef is on there. A lot of times I like to go just turkey, ham, little lettuce, tomato, onion. I have come around on the tomato. I think it brings an extra dimension to the sandwich. Onion is a must for whatever sandwich, and pretty much whatever sub I'm getting, I add banana peppers because I love it. So,
Spicy.
with that being said, my next pick is kind of like a newish type sandwich, but more and more delis are having some version of it, and that's a buffalo chicken sub. Buffalo chicken sub, something like that. I'm a fan of chicken on a sandwich. The aforementioned chicken parm, which I forgot about because, again, idiot. But buffalo chicken, that comes in at number two for me. If they have some kind of buffalo chicken option on the menu, cold sub or hot sub, I'm getting that. I'm trying it out. But I have to admit, I like a cold sub more than a hot sub sometimes, because sometimes if a place is like, oh, do you want it toasted or whatever, they put some of the vegetables on, then they toast it, and the stuff comes out a little soggy. Like, who likes hot lettuce? Not me. So I usually cold subs.
I have had a grilled salad before.
Oh, how was that?
It was pretty decent. I mean, it was part of a beer dinner at oh god, what was that? What's that place in Saratoga? The tapas place or tapas
Oh,
place?
I'm trying to think.
Boca Bistro. Boca Bistro.
Oh, okay.
About 11 years ago, they did a beer pairing dinner with Dogfish Head.
Oh, nice.
And the dinner it was set around the beer. So one of the appetizers was a grilled salad, like a grilled grape salad. It was really good.
Yeah,
Honestly.
I would try that. Side note, I love dinner and alcohol pairings. If it's done well, there are few ways better to spend a night, in my opinion. I've been there on dates. I've been there like family outings and stuff. It's a great, and it's one of the things that we did in Kentucky. Was a great like whiskey pairing dinner. It was fantastic. But to bring it back now to my final number one sub. This is number one with a bullet. A classic Italian mixed. Everybody does their Italian mixed sub a little differently, and I like the little idiosyncrasies that each place brings to it. But if I want to test, especially if I'm testing a new place, a new sub shop, I will get their Italian mix and I will gauge it. I will say, okay, they did a great job with this Italian mixed. I'm going to try their other sandwiches now. Or if they do not do the Italian mixed up to my standards, there's no business going back to the shop. So Italian mixed is my barometer. It is my favorite sub. It's not good for my heart, but I always am getting Italian mixed.
I have a supplement for that, by the way. I have a supplement for that.
Yeah. But Italian mixed is my standard. A lot of times I will modify it with the banana peppers, as I've mentioned before. I will take either oil and vinegar or mayo, whichever the place does. And but Italian mix got to have provolone on there. And there's a place called Martini's that is close to where I work, and they do their Italian mix is called the Louisville Slugger. And I always like it because the thing does look like a mini ball bat by the time you get it. You know, it's a big sandwich.
It's going to sit like one in your stomach.
Yeah, but it's a good it's a good sandwich. I only get it once in a while now because I am older. I'm trying to be better about what I eat, but yeah, that one deserves a shout out. You know, I just love a good Italian mixed, and we'll leave it at that. So that's my number one.
We got some more comments in the comment section. Nothing, Mr. Smooth saying nothing wrong with a chicken cutlet, bacon, Munster cheese, and coleslaw on a hero.
That sounds good. That sounds good. I could co-sign that one with you, Mr. Smooth. Unlike your goldfish and raisins shocking snack from Seahawks Sessions a couple weeks ago. I was shocked.
I don't want to swear, but what the me mentioning cold sandwiches. I said cold sandwiches, and he said not true, but he says this: bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup on a toasted everything bagel. Add sausage is phenomenal. See, that's different. That's a breakfast sandwich. I'm talking about lunch and dinner, like a deli sandwich. I will say though, Taylor ham and egg, salt, pepper, ketchup.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go. But I will say that's not surprising to see that from Mr. Smooth, because it's not as big up here, but down by the city and Long Island and that whole region, it's like a staple down there.
Yeah, I mean the Taylor ham, egg, and cheese. That's the New Jersey staple for sure. That's what brought Mike Williams to the Jets. But well, we don't talk about him, and we don't talk about this season. And Kevin Wilson wants to just clarify: not turkey bacon. You need bacon. Yes, that is correct. He also said, Samuel Smooth also says, "Don't kink shame me, lads, and my goldfish." Shame.
It's not the goldfish. For me, it's the combo of the goldfish and the raisin. I mean, I get it. Maybe you're trying to go a little salty sweet there, but you're right. You're right. To each their own.
Look, sir. What you do in the privacy of your own living room is none of my business. It's constitutionally protected. Although I do need the element of New Day throwing pancakes at the Miz saying shame. That was before they broke up.
Oh man!
All right, well, let's put this edition of Hot Food Takes. And Mr. Smooth saying the Old Spice. I don't have permission to use the Old Spice. I don't have permission from them to use the Old Spice theme in the OG show, just the Three Rails Metro Hockey podcast.
You co-host with one.
Which I co-host. Yes. We're going to, because of my certification class, it's a little hinky right now at the scheduling, but we took some time off for the holidays, but we're going to get back into it momentarily. We're going to get back into it soon. I got some things to address with the Devils. Also got some things to address with NHL officiating. So, but in the meantime, that's not here and there. We're taking a quick commercial, our network mandated commercial break. When we come back, we got some Week 18 in the NFL to discuss, including the greatest regular season game in the history of ever. Shut up. Stand by and stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price. in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. Thank you, handsome voice-over man. Invader Coffee. Drinking it right now. I got the cookie crumble, last of their holiday blends. I gotta find out if they actually have Bad Santa on whole bean. I can finally order it, because that's if I can't get Bad Santa this year, it's gonna be a bad time.
I did get an email saying that certain blends were back in stock.
All right, so let's take a look at the website. I'm looking at our affiliate website. I'm going to look at our affiliate link, by the way. Dang it, Bad Santa's not here. But they still have Jolly Java and the tiramisu. But they're also other blends are back in stock. The original blend, the Luck Be Irish whiskey blend is back.
Mm-hmm.
Just in time for St. Patrick's Day, which is approximately March. You've also got the Black Heart Espresso blend, the Mexican chocolate blend. You can also buy yourself some cold brew. Get yourself some K-cups, and you can get yourself cold brew. Not only individual cans, you can also buy a 12-pack. You can buy a 12-pack of the cans. So, but I love Invader Coffee. They've been one of our affiliate sponsors since the beginning of since the redux of the show has come about. And with sponsors, with being sponsors, I like to try them first before they're potential sponsor. So I tried SeatGeek, I tried Righteous Felon, I tried Invader Coffee, and as it says in the commercial by that handsomely voiced man, it's 100% air roasted, so all that acidity is taken out, and it's a veteran-owned coffee company. That's one of three things that veterans do. Like when they go into business for themselves, they do coffee, they do beer, or they do whiskey. And this company decided to do coffee. They went in that direction. So it's not like some other big named, publicly owned coffee companies. I won't mention who they are, but Invader Coffee, humbly out of Austin, Texas. It's great. It's great coffee. I saw nothing more I could say about that. Just get yourself some coffee.
Yeah, I am drinking the aforementioned Bad Santa blend right now. I'm running low on it. I've got a bag of the cookie crumble. Very excited to rip into that. That is my favorite of the holiday varieties, but I may get some Jolly Java now that it's back in stock. And you pay a little bit more for the shipping, but it gets there quickly. And you can use our affiliate link, and you can use code BELLYUP at checkout to offset that a little bit and save yourself some cash. So go ahead and do it. We've been Invader fans for quite a while now, and we love this coffee. There's not much more to say about it.
And Dustin will say he's been a fan of Invader Coffee since before he joined the show.
Yes, that is correct.
Because I gave him the affiliate link, which is in the description, on both the Belly Up Facebook and YouTube channels, and it'll be available on the podcast link as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so get yourself some Invader Coffee and enjoy yourself some good brew today. Our boy Scott is jumping in the chat.
Oh yeah,
a little late for the hot food takes, but he's joined us. He says an underrated sandwich, a turkey Reuben grilled on rye with coleslaw, as about as underrated as Mina Kimes. Now I don't know if that second part is sarcastic. I can't tell because I don't know.
Yeah, but I will tell you, Mina, very high. Love Mina Kimes, but also, Scott, I think that, and you may correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but I think that is called a Rachel when they use turkey instead of the corned beef or pastrami in some cases. I think it's called a Rachel when it is a turkey Reuben. So
yes, you are correct. The Reuben is corned beef, sauerkraut, Swiss cheese, and Russian. The Rachel is turkey and turkey instead of corned beef, turkey or pastrami instead of corned beef.
Oh, okay.
And coleslaw instead of sauerkraut. So yes, that is a Rachel. for sure. And yes, and he confirms it's called the Rachel. Good call. Good call.
Yeah, nice
Good call,
to see you,
Dustin. Good
Scott.
call.
Nice to see you. It was great to spend the new year with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to talk some Jets football, which I was kind of didn't want to, but he kind of forced me into it.
He told me he was gonna.
He cornered me. He's like, what do I do? I'll talk. All right, we're going to talk about Week 18. It's the final week of the NFL regular season. This is going to be, and we still have some playoff implications out there, but we're going to start off traditionally with our most intriguing matchup of Week 18. And I'll have you lead off, Dustin. Who is your most intriguing matchup?
Well, are we picking the game that everybody thinks we're picking? The answer is no, because I have access to the show rundown. Okay,
good for you, Dustin. Good for you.
But there will be some. The problem is Ryan and I try very hard not to pick the same game, but there will be some overlap with some of our games. We might have picked the same thing, but for different categories. That's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles. Shout out to Invader. But
Hey-o.
My most intriguing matchup, it is one that also has massive playoff implications, and it's the Bengals Steelers. Okay. And those of you who know me know that I love a game with good storylines and great stakes. Okay. You can view sports sometimes as one of the greatest stories out there because you don't know what the ending is going to be. And this is one of those games. I hear like movie trailer voice in my head sometimes, like, can Joe Burrow complete the comeback for the Bengals to lead them into the playoffs? Now they need to win against the
where
Steelers.
Joe Burrow
yeah.
faces his greatest nemesis in the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, but they need to win against the Steelers, and they're in. As long as the Dolphins and the Broncos lose as well. But the first step is the Bengals need to win to get in. So they have every reason to play for. And the Steelers also have every reason to play all their starters. They are competing for first place in the AFC North, which even with the Browns dumpster fire, I would contend the Steelers, Ravens, and Bengals and the Browns, like, who can forget that Jameis Winston snow game? The AFC North has been an extremely entertaining division to watch this year. Hard Knocks in season, HBO. HBO was not stupid for picking. I think they should have picked the NFC North. They just got the wrong conference, but the AFC North, no slouch. This divisional matchups are always a little different. And the Steelers, they lost 2 games to the Ravens and the Chiefs, respectively. They kind of have to get back on the positive end of the track here. So there's a lot for them to play for. Neither team will be resting starters in this game, which is more than you could say for some of the other teams that we get to on the slate. So I will have my eyes glued to this one. And as a Seahawk fan, of course, I always have a side eye on Russell Wilson. I want to see how he performs as well. I want to see what the Steelers defense does against the Bengals. And will the Bengals defense learn how to stop a paper bag? They haven't been able to do it almost all season. So we'll see. And it could be a good Jamar Chase game. T. Higgins reminded everybody last week, hey, I'm here too. So this is going to be an interesting game to watch for sure.
Yes, next to Mike Vrabel, the most intriguing free agent name coming in 2025.
Yeah.
T. Higgins. I mean, I totally agree. Now, I will say that the Bengals defense has played better over the last month or so.
I shouldn't have been so harsh, but I'd still.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? I mean, it's deserved. Yeah, so my most intriguing matchup, or should I say matchups? Now, caveat. Everyone has their eyes on Sunday night, which many are calling the greatest regular season game ever in the history of ever. We really need to cut down the hyperbolics, okay, guys? Come on. The greatest regular season game was in 1990 between the 49ers and the Giants, which was headed down the battle of the unbeatens, but they had both got beat the week before the Monday night matchup, which was a fun game, although the Giants lost that one. But I've got my eye on 2 games in particular. First game, New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you say, Ryan, why would you have your eye on that game? Well, besides New Orleans being an entertaining dumpster fire, Tampa Bay has the opportunity to win their 4th consecutive NFC South crown. And this division over the last couple of years has been a tire fire of its own between between a team having a losing record, going and backing themselves into the playoffs, teams Atlanta, Carolina being awful, New Orleans kind of being mid-tier, but now they're definitely in rebuild mode. But this game that Tampa Bay has to win. They're winning, they're in. And the last couple of weeks, their offense has been absolutely electric, especially Baker Mayfield, who I think, let me just say this. I'll say this is kind of a hot takey thing. Hot takes the goat talking here. Baker Mayfield is kind of a low-key MVP candidate.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Super under the radar, based on the last month or so. So Tampa Bay has to win this game, and if they win this game, they win the division. Now, I don't know who's going to be coming out in this game. Is going to be the Buccaneers from November, who are kind of, a little bit ill, or is it going to be who kind of showed their true colors of who they were without Mike Evans in the lineup? By the way, FYI, but it's been since Mike Evans has come back in the lineup, this offense has been absolutely just explosive. Blew out the Chargers, beat the brakes off the Panthers. Now the opportunity to really establish themselves and go into the playoffs on a strong note with a big win against the New Orleans Saints. On the flip side, you've got Carolina at Atlanta. And this is a big game for Atlanta because Atlanta has to win and to make sure, and then they're going to do some scoreboard watching because Tampa Bay has to lose in order for them to win the division, because they swept the Buccaneers this year. In that really great Thursday night game early in the season, and they beat them in a close game in Tampa Bay a few weeks later. So I've got my eye on both these games. And yes, I could say that let's just put, I'm going to say another little fun thing here. The NFC South has been pretty entertaining this year. It's been a pretty entertaining division to watch because you had the resurgence of Andy Dalton. You had Bryce Young getting benched and then kind of learning his lessons, and he's become a better quarterback because of the benching. Mm-hmm. You've had everything in New Orleans, the tire fire that is in the New Orleans Saints, who are definitely rebuilding on the rebuild side. Tampa Bay and Atlanta fighting it out because this is the first entertaining division. This is the first time the division's been entertaining in quite a while. So it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to watch the NFC South this season. And it's going to sound kind of clinky, kind of clunky, a clunky take, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. That, to quote the dude, that's just like your opinion, man.
It is.
So, and to bolster, because I am always here to support my co-host, to bolster your Baker Mayfield take a little bit. Ryan, there are 2 quarterbacks ahead of him. I was shocked. Mr. Smooth looked this up last night when we were talking about Geno Smith. We were on a different topic. But there are 2 quarterbacks ahead of Baker Mayfield in total yards. You want to guess who they are?
No.
Okay. I will give you the answer, and then it will show you where Baker is currently in total passing yards in the NFL this season. Number 1 is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the leader in passing yards. Number 2, the Detroit Lions' own Jared Goff. Baker Mayfield clocks in at number 3. He is 3rd overall in total passing yards in the NFL this year. That's with some heavy hitters up there, because I thought it was going to be Lamar Jackson, somebody like that. No, Baker Mayfield is number 3. So there's a little supporting data for your Baker Mayfield take there.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate the support. All right, we're going to quickly move on to Desperation City, and it is legitimately Desperation City this week. No bounce backs, because this is the week that everything is decided. This is Decision Sunday, as they would say if you were a soccer fan. But we're not soccer fans. This is football. But for me, Desperation City, as Dustin mentioned for his most intriguing matchup, is Bengals Steelers. Steelers need so the AFC North, the AFC North is concluding their season today. There are two games, 4:30 and 8:15. 8 o'clock, excuse me. They're both on and they're both on ABC, which is awesome. Right. Browns Baltimore kicks off at 4:30, and then Bengals Steelers is at 8 o'clock Eastern. And I give a shout out to my boy, my buddy, my church buddy Kyle KP, who's a Bengals fan. He's gonna be having like 8 million heart attacks tonight, unless the Bengals crap the bed. But I have a feeling I'll be seeing him tomorrow at church, and he'll have a look on his face like he hasn't slept in 3 days. But yeah, the Steelers need a win to keep pace with it. Now, everything that happens with the Steelers in terms of the division, what happens in the game before will affect this game. So if the Ravens win, it's over. If the Ravens lose, Steelers have a chance to jump them and take the top spot in the division. But they're facing an equally desperate Bengals team who's looking to keep pace in the wild card because they need to win. Like you mentioned, Dustin, they need to do their part, but they need the Broncos and the Dolphins, who are in late games tomorrow, to lose. So Bengals are very desperate. They need to do their part, but they also need for the outcomes of other games, which I'll briefly mention in the next couple segments. But the Bengals are in Desperation City. They have been for, I'd say, most of the rest of the second half of the year.
Yeah. And credit to him. I mean, a lot of people took shots at Joe Burrow when he said we have to win the next 8 or 9 games. And he said it's doable. It'll be tough, but it's doable. And here they are. Here they are. We all kind of laughed at him when he was out there saying that with his frosted tips or whatever he's got going on this season.
Batmobile.
But here they are,
guys. Fighting crime and winning games. All right, Dustin, what about you? Who's Desperation City?
My Desperation City game is kind of a weird one this week. And I mean, you and I, like I said, we're going to be picking like similar things. We're going to be picking similar things. I know you'll get to some of these topics later in the show. But to keep it quick, my Desperation City game is the Broncos versus the Chiefs. Broncos need a win against the Chiefs here. So they have everything to play for. They're going to be emptying both barrels against the Chiefs. They're going to be trying everything. Bo Nix, they're all the plays in the playbook are eligible. Everything. This is the Broncos season. And credit to Sean Payton. I've taken a lot of shots at Sean Payton over my tenure on this show. I don't like the way he handled some things. The Broncos defense regressed significantly under him last year, but this year it's a whole different story. You got to credit him with the turnaround and selecting Bo Nix. Looks like it's a great selection. That defense is doing well, but the Broncos have everything to play for in this game. And then you flip to their opponent, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I wish I could go into the mind of Andy Reid to see what kind of Chiefs team is going to show up. We already know that I think seemingly this is a very smart decision. Carson Wentz is going to be in at quarterback. You got to protect Mahomes, especially with his ankle injury recently. You got to protect him. You got to keep him invested. But they have nothing to play for. They've already clinched the number 1 seed, and they've clinched home field throughout, if I'm not mistaken, already.
They clinched it on Christmas.
So they have nothing to play for. However, the Broncos are a divisional rival. And how badly, to quote Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. Thank you, Herm. A lot of us have gotten a lot of mileage out of that over the years. Thank you for that. I'll send you a Christmas card next year. So what Chiefs team is going to show up? The key to me is whether the Chiefs decide to play some of their starters on defense and keep them hot, because the Chiefs defense, they started out the season great. Then they kind of lulled a little bit. Now they're playing back up to they look more like the defense that started the year, in my opinion. So does Andy Reid want to keep that rolling? And are they interested in playing potential spoiler to the Denver Broncos and knocking a divisional rival out of the playoffs? We shall see. So that's why this game is an interesting one for me. But for Broncos, it's Desperation City all day.
So, fun fact about the Chiefs, I just thought of in my head. Their defense has allowed more 30-point games than the offense has scored this season.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. The Giants have more 30-point games than the Chiefs. The Giants.
And the Buffalo Bills put a 30 burger on them for their only loss of the season. Their offense has not scored 30 points this year. So weird. Scott apologized for putting me in the corner at New Year's Eve. Kevin Wilson says Joe Burrow can leap tall buildings in a single bound. He'll get it done. I think you're getting your superheroes mixed up because I mentioned the Batmobile, Kev. I forget it. And Julie from Michigan joining us saying late hello, gentlemen. Hello to you, Julie. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on. Julie. We're gonna move on to our respective self-hatred games of the week.
Ready? And pull trash.
These games are absolute trash. Our dear friend Cole Johnson would say, trash.
Yes.
The game of the week. I'm going to defer to you first, Dustin. Which game are you avoiding this week?
I hate to do it, and I'll have to watch it, but I'm picking my own beloved Seahawks versus the Rams because as Kevin and Mr. Smooth and I talked about last night, the bloom is off the rose for this game, okay? Mm-hmm. If the Rams, if the Commanders had lost to the Falcons last week, this game would have completely different stakes. It would be for the NFC West title, but the Rams have clinched the NFC West, and they are already stating that they're going to rest some players. Matthew Stafford out for this game. Guess who's in at quarterback? Jimmy Garoppolo. Are you ready for it? And also Kyren Williams, understandably, from the Rams side of things. Kyren is out. Blake Corum has been one of the players that Sean McVay said he's excited to get more run in this game. And Cooper Kupp is out. Cooper Kupp has looked a step slower in the last couple games anyway, but Cooper is out. So the Rams are resting a bevy of starters. They have every reason to do so. There's nothing for them to play for in this game. The division is theirs. They're gearing up for the playoffs. The wild card in this game is whether Seattle decides to do the same thing. Because as we talked about on Seahawks sessions last night, the Seahawks, I think by most people's metrics, have overachieved this season. You know, I did not expect them to get as many wins as they did, especially on the road. They were a bad team at home this year. But do they have much to play for? How far does a division rival carry? You know, will they be resting starters? I suspect they'll rest some. So this could be the potential, and I joked at the end of Seahawks sessions last night. I said, prepare for Sam Howell to go in and shred it up against the Rams' second-string defense, and then all the Seahawks social media will be calling for Sam Howell to start. Do you remember the Green Bay game? If this is Sam Howell versus Jimmy Garoppolo, I want no part of this game, but I will be watching it.
Did you ever see the news blooper of the anchor slipping and saying check your panties instead of check your pantries?
No.
That's why I want to play that clip every time Jimmy Garoppolo is playing.
Oh, jeez. Old Jimmy GQ. Ugh.
Yeah, I'll share that clip. It's it's an all-time banger.
Oh.
About 175,000 rice. I think that was supposed to be pantries.
Oh man, this poor dude.
Gosh, bless his heart. And the anchor caught himself accidentally misreading panties. He was supposed to have said pantries. He was just trying to warn viewers about a rice cooker recall. His co-anchor says she spotted the typo, but it was too late to help her partner there. Oh, bless his heart.
Oh man.
That's right, ladies. Check your panties. GG's in the game.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting that on our first stream for
this just did channel, but It's just in from Mike. We've been fired from Belly Up Sports.
Oh, no.
All right, my self-hatred game of the week. It is the Jaguars have replaced the Panthers as the sick kitty running joke on this show. And thankfully, this will be the last time I have to mention the Jacksonville Jaguars this season because they're playing the Indianapolis Colts, who are as disappointing as War Emblem in the 2002 Belmont Stakes, and that this horse
Man, that's a callback.
failed to get the start to complete their season. So, yeah, this is a game between a terrible team that's going to be rebuilding once again, much like my New York Jets, and a team that I thought had the easiest path to the playoffs, but unfortunately they were not good against the Giants. Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball, almost blew the game against the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, let's just say praise the good Lord above for NFL Red Zone on Sunday once again.
Scott Hansen deserves a Christmas card from all of us, America.
He does. All right, moving on to the player to watch on offense this week. And Dustin alluded to it back in the Desperation City portion of the program. We talked about Carson Wentz and the Kansas City Chiefs, but Carson Wentz is my player to watch on offense this week because with the Chiefs having wrapped up the AFC West very, very early and having wrapped up the number 1 seed on Christmas Day, it's been a long layoff between games for these Chiefs. And Patrick Mahomes is getting the week off, getting time to heal, getting time to just rest up for another potential playoff run to New Orleans, which means that Carson Wentz, former number 1 pick of the Philadelphia Eagles, he'll get the start on Wednesday against Denver. And this might be an indication. How he plays on Sunday is going to be an indication of how the Chiefs will do if and only if Mahomes aggravates his ankle or makes it worse during the playoffs, or another injury comes about, or gets a concussion. Like for instance, in the 2020 playoffs, if you remember, Dustin, in the 2020 playoffs, this is how far back I'm going. It's 5 years already.
Right? Yeah.
Mahomes went out with a concussion in the divisional playoff against the Cleveland Browns. Chad Henne came in, saved the day for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
You're going to see this Carson Wentz on Sunday playing a desperate Broncos team who have lost their last 2 games and are clinging, like they have a pinky finger hold on the last wild card spot. So how he plays is going to determine whether it's a Chiefs. I mean, if the Chiefs lose, it's no big deal. They've already clinched home field. They've already clinched the division. Not a big deal. But the Broncos are going to be coming out throwing haymakers on Sunday. So I'm watching Carson Wentz just to see what he does. I know we have a lot. I think not us personally, but he's been much maligned with his trade to the Colts when Frank Reich was head coach. Then he got released by the Colts after that awful performance in Week 18 a couple of years ago in Jacksonville, where the Colts had the chance to go to the playoffs and they blew that.
Mm-hmm.
And his short-lived experiment in Los Angeles with the Rams before signing with the Chiefs in the offseason become basically Patrick Mahomes' backup. So he's in an interesting career. So I'm kind of curious to see how he does on Sunday. But what about you? Players to watch on offense.
Well, this is where if people want to call me a cheater, I'm a cheater, but I am intrigued by the quarterback matchup in the aforementioned Sunday night game. We haven't talked about it yet, but Julie, as usual.
The greatest regular season game in the history of ever history.
Julie, as usual, you arrive right on time it's been late in the show because I'm sure some people watching are like, why aren't they talking about this game? This is where you're going to hear a little bit about it. But yep. I am intrigued by both of the quarterbacks in this game. I want to see how they do. Jared Goff has become a proven commodity now. We're not waiting for Jared Goff to turn into a pumpkin. He has proven he has revitalized his career. Detroit is the perfect fit for him. They built around him. They loved him. They catered the offense to things that he does well. And Dan Campbell is the perfect coach for him to play for. And he's been vocal, much like Geno was a few years ago with the Seahawks, that hey, look, Detroit believed in me when not a lot of people did. They wanted me here. They're happy to have me here, and it made a huge difference in my career. So I'll be interested to see how he does against the Vikings on Sunday night. And on the other side, this is where it's cheap. I'll be interested to see if Sam Darnold can keep his Cinderella season going. Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell does it again. He did it. Kevin O'Connell, we got to start having him with a wizard hat on because he's building quarterback. He's rebuilding quarterbacks all over the place. Remember when they had to bring in Josh Dobbs last year to help keep their slim playoff hopes alive? And Josh Dobbs had a great game for him. Now the wheels kind of came off that, but Kevin O'Donnell, there is no doubt that Kevin O'Donnell knows how to rebuild a quarterback. It's why Daniel Jones signed with the Vikings. If I was a betting man, Daniel Jones is thinking, hey, maybe this guy can teach me things for a few weeks and in the offseason, and then I go sign with another team. Who knows? Maybe Daniel Jones is the next rebuild case for one Kevin O'Donnell or Kevin O'Connell. I keep screwing up the last name.
I knew you were gonna slip up.
I know. I know. I knew it
was.
was going to happen. I have a history of that on the show. Now,
That's okay.
but
Just keep it on brand.
the two quarterbacks, people are like, oh, he's picking the easy thing. What do you want? I'm intrigued by both of the quarterbacks in this game. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be a barn burner. These two teams are evenly matched. And guess what? I just might mention it again in the next segment. But with that, I cede the floor to you.
As on cue, Jared Goff. I'm just practicing for Sunday night from our friend Julie from Michigan. All right, so we're gonna move on to players to watch on defense.
I can't have him locked up. He's important to the defense.
I love that soundbite. We gotta have Wise back on the show. It's been too long.
We'll have him back on for sure. All right, players to watch on defense, and Dustin, we'll have you lead off with this one, the final segment of this premiere episode on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. Players to watch on defense.
Okay, well, this is where we're going to talk about the Lions again. So people are like, what is he doing? This is how I roll, folks. The Lions pass rush. There is no denying the defense of all the injuries on the Lions defense. You know, we talked earlier in the season how they signed Jamal Adams to the practice squad, and he was there for 4 days, and they had to elevate him to the team because they don't have anybody else. So and there were rumors out there that if the Dolphins had lost, they would be interested in acquiring Calais Campbell for a potential playoff run with them because they need a pass rush. Will the Lions be able to generate enough pressure to frustrate Sam Darnold and kind of bring him back down to earth a little bit in this game? That's what I'll be looking at to see how Aaron Glenn and this Lions defense, specifically their pass rush, their front four, if they're able to pressure Sam Darnold at all. That's what I have my eye on for this one.
All right. You knew it was coming. It's coming for eventually you have to be at the end of the show. But we have to talk about the greatest regular season game ever in the history of ever. All right. I'm watching both defensive squads on Sunday night because this game's going to be a shootout. I predict it'll be a shootout.
I think so.
But it's going to come down to which defense. It's kind of like the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl from a couple of years ago when Nick Foles came in and saved the day for the Eagles against the hated Patriots. But it's going to be kind of similar in that regard. But it's going to be the difference will be whoever makes the big play on defense. Kirby Joseph leads the league in interceptions. I'm not going to discount the Minnesota Vikings defense at all. They've done their job this season too. in certain aspects. But that's what it's going to come down to. It's not going to come down to which offense outscores the other. It's going to come down to which defense will make the big play. If it's going to be a big pick, if it's going to be a pass rush, it's going to force a fumble. Is it going to be a forced fumble? Is it going to be a special teams play that could make the difference? So I'm watching both defenses on Sunday night for sure. I'm locked in to find out which one is going to make the big difference. And I'm my spirit team, Detroit Lions. I'm hoping they pull this one out because it's my spirit team. And I'm Kirby Joseph had a big interception on Monday night, and he was my player to watch on defense last week, along with Xavier McKinney. So the one who is so Kirby Joseph, if you're out there listening, I know you're a big fan. No crunches required. Get that ball, son. And Julie in the comments section saying she's here for the Lions talk. She sincerely hopes the pass rush of the Lions will make a big difference in this game. She also says, I think Alex Anzalone may be coming back for this game. So that'll be a huge boost if that happens. You know what? It's not a bad idea to check the injury report of the Detroit Lions while we're live. So Dustin, go ahead and vamp for a sec. Real-time research. Go ahead and vamp while I look this up.
And I have to admit, okay. So I was talking with somebody recently, and I said, you know what? I am rooting for the Lions as well. But if the Vikings were to make it out as well, I would not be too broken up about it because the Vikings are another long-suffering fan base. Both the Lions and the Vikings, long-suffering fan bases. And what it comes down to for me, and I hate to say this for fans of both teams, but I just need somebody to beat the Chiefs and Eagles respectively. If it is a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl again, I will be mildly miffed. Okay, so I want some different energy in the Super Bowl this year. Now I hope the Lions get there because much like you, we have heaped praise on Dan Campbell over the duration of this show. The turnaround in Detroit has been amazing. And I hope they're able to do it this year. I hope they've excised that demon from last year with that 49ers game. They did beat the 49ers on Monday night, so maybe that went a long way. But also the Vikings have been waiting a long time. I just want some different energy. But who's going to beat the Chiefs in the AFC? You know, that's the thing. Will the Ravens finally do it? Will the Bills be able to do it? Another very loyal and very patient fan base. You know, there's a lot of teams. I want some different energy in the Super Bowl this year.
It could be the Rams. The way the Rams been playing the last 2 months, they've been very good. So I looked at the injury report on DetroitLions.com. Shout out to them. Alex Anzalone was a limited participant in practice on Wednesday, full on Thursday and Friday. He's listed as questionable. He's playing. He's got to be playing.
All right, yeah. For this game, for these stakes, he's in there.
For sure. Julie says, I'm touched by the support. I, however, will be very invested in this game. She says she'll be very broken up if the Lions do not win on Sunday. So, yeah. But you know what, though? Silver lining, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're there. They're ready to go.
They're ready to roll.
And the thing is, too, the thing that we forget, and we all kind of like snickered at it at the beginning of the season, but the longer the Lions stay in the playoffs, the chance that Aiden Hutchinson could possibly return goes up. So
it's true.
So we'll see if it's a Rod Woodson situation. He did that for the Steelers back in the day. Yeah, he returned.
That he did. All right, we're gonna get out of here. But before we do that, just want to remind you about our social media channels for No Credentials Required. Facebook, facebook.com/NoCredsREQ. Twitter, the Instagram, and scarcely use TikTok at NoCredsREQ. And YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora. And get yourself notified on Twitter and on YouTube, both on the YouTube channel on No Credentials Required and on Belly Up Sports. That way you know when we're live, when we have show clips up, when we have show announcements. So just a reminder too. On Tuesday, we're switching our times. We're going to start at 6:30 Eastern on Tuesday from here on out. So just want to give you that small. Again, we mentioned it on Mondays. It was Mondays or Saturday, last Saturdays or last Monday's game or
Stream.
podcast recording,
Yep.
live stream. Just a reminder, live show, Belly Up Sports YouTube, Tuesday, 6:30. We're hoping to have back up on Facebook and on Twitter. In the meantime, also rate, review, comment, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on replay. We check every comment, everything that comes in. Playmaker congratulated us, by the way, about our announcement of our move from our OG channel to the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. So he said he congratulated us. This is a great move.
Oh,
But
awesome.
also on the podcast side, rate, review. If you can leave a review, comment on the Spotify. Again, we'll read them on the air. So we're going to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need to press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. For Dustin Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. We'll be back on Tuesday talking everything that happened almost everything that happened in Week 18 of the NFL, and we'll preview the playoffs next Saturday. So tune in for that. In the meantime, have yourself a great weekend. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.
To everybody, new and old, good morning, everybody.
There it is.